Hello Pokemon fans, Pokemaniacs. This is Kestrelraptorial, and I'm looking at Pokemon decks. Pokemon starter decks, beginning all the way back to the first Pokemon card set that was ever released, the base set. The base set was originally released in Japan all the way back in 1996. North America did not see Pokemon until 1999. And the first cards that were released, that came, were the base set of 102 cards, along with 4 starter decks. So, I'll be taking a look at one of those, starting with the deck that focused on the first starter Pokemon, Bulbasaur. This was the Overgrowth themed deck, which focused on grass and water Pokemon. After we go through the deck, I'm going to be removing and adding some cards from the base set and a couple from the second set that was released, Jungle, to improve the deck. So, let's go through the Pokemon Overgrowth theme deck and see what we can do with it. We begin with Bulbasaur. 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 It's 4 Bulbasaurs. In the Pokemon trading card game, you can have up to 4 cards with the same name in your deck. Even if they have different art and come from different sets, same name is still considered the same card, so up to 4. Bulbasaur's evolution, Ivysaur, it's 2 of them. Weedles, it's 4 Weedles. 2 Kakuna, and a Beedrill, a rare. The water Pokemon, beginning with Staryu, which is a Sea Star Pokemon. Quite cute. Was one of Misty's most used Pokemon in the first season anime for Staryu. And Staryu's evolution, 3 Starmie. Gyarados, the holo rare that came with this deck. Gyarados is awesome. Was awesome in the first games, the first set, is still awesome in the video games and in almost all incarnations. It's a sea dragon. Interesting thing about Gyarados is in the video games, it's quite possible that Gyarados was originally meant to be a water and dragon type, instead of a water and flying type, but the Generation 1 makers suspected that might make Gyarados too imbalanced in the video games. I'm not sure of that. In Generation 1, Psychic Pokemon pretty much blew all other types away, except for maybe the high-level dragons. So I think it could have worked, but it's a water flying type. Still very much a dragon, which evolves from Magikarp. Magikarp's evolution into Gyarados is actually based on the legend of the Dragon's Gate, where a carp swimming up the river and up the waterfalls, if it reached the summit and passed through the Dragon's Gate, would evolve into a dragon, or would metamorphize into a dragon. So, cool bit of legend there. Then we come to the trainer cards. 2 Bill. Bill allows you to just draw 2 cards from your deck. 2 Gust of Wind. I actually loved Gust of Wind when it was first released. There might be stronger cards now that do something similar, but Gust of Wind was pretty awesome. 1 Potion, and 2 Super Potion. 2 switch. And then the energy cards. I believe there's, let's see, it's grass and water energy. There's slightly less water. I believe there's 12 water energy cards and 16 grass energy cards. A lot of energy. So that's the Overgrowth theme deck as it would have looked when you opened the box. So now let's see what we can do to improve it. Let's, with when I build customized Yu-Gi-Oh decks, I usually start with the monsters and go to the spell and trap cards and maybe the extra deck after or before the spell and traps. With the Pokemon, we're going to start with the energy cards because those are the easiest. So, we had 12 water and 16 grass energy. I actually like to keep these decks at 12 and 12 for the 2 types of energy. So we're going to take out 4 grass energy. That gives us 12 water and 12 grass energy. Now, I would often add 2 double colorless energy. That was often very useful, but the Pokemon in this deck really don't use much colorless energy at all, so it's actually not necessary for the Overgrowth deck. So I'm just going to keep it at 12 water, 12 grass. Okay, it's 12 water, 12 grass. Now the trainer cards. I do want to adjust the trainer cards quite a bit. We had 2 Bill, 2 Gust of Wind, Potion, Super Potion, and Switch. Gust of Wind is really useful because it allows you to switch your opponent's Pokemon. Switch lets you switch your own Pokemon from the bench to the active slot. It's really useful when your Pokemon have high retreat costs. The Pokemon in this deck, though, their retreat costs are not that high. So I'm actually going to take out the 2 switch. You don't really need those. You can keep them in if you want. I don't really see the need for them. So we've taken out so far 6 cards. Well, the deck has to be 60 cards, so we have to add 6 more in. First thing I'm going to do is add in another 2 Bill. Bill is very useful because it was really the first Pokemon draw spell, to use the Yu-Gi-Oh term. 4 Bills means if you draw all 4, you can draw up to 8 cards from your deck. So that's really useful. We're going to have 4 Bill in the deck. Also, since this is based on a starter Pokemon, we're going to use some of the iconic character and items from the Pokemon games that you get at the very beginning. Professor Oak, which is another draw spell. Discard your hand, then draw 7 cards. Very useful when you have very few cards in your hand or cards you're not really going to use. You can get rid of them and just draw 7 cards. Awesome. And Pokédex. There's my bird clock again. Tweet, 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 tweet. Pokédex. Look up add up to 5 cards from the top of your deck and rearrange them as you like. These days, decks are really fast, and that's not really necessary. But for the very first starter decks that came out, that was useful. Okay, so that's plus 4 cards. We need another plus 2. Oh, okay. Well, I'm not adding double colorless energy. It'd be really helpful to, when energy cards are discarded from Pokemon that faint, to get those energy cards back. going to put in 2 energy retrieval. Trade one of the cards in your hand for up to 2 basic energy cards from your discard pile. Again, these days there are stronger cards, but in the very first set, this was very useful. So those are the trainer cards. We're going to now have Professor Oak, Pokédex, 4 Bill, 2 Gust of Wind, Potion, Super Potion, Energy Retrieval. I might take out the 1 potion, I'm not quite sure yet. Okay. 2 Super Potion, 2 Energy Retrieval. Gust of Wind, Bill. Okay. Now for the Pokemon. Okay. 2 Magikarp and 1 Gyarados. I'm going to keep those. Not going to adjust those. 3 Starmie. 4 Staryu. 4 Weedle. 2 Kakuna, Beedrill. 4 Bulbasaur, 2 Ivysaur. Okay. Well, to begin, now, even though Beedrill isn't bad, I actually want to take out the Weedle, Kakuna, and Beedrill and add some other bug Pokemon into there. So, I'm going to take out the Weedle, Kakuna, and Beedrill, and replace them with a bug Pokemon that came out in the base set and the jungle. Caterpie, 3 Caterpie, 2 Metapod, and in place of Beedrill, a Butterfree from the jungle set. Butterfree is amazing. Okay. Sometimes I also like to add my favorite of the Lepidopteran Pokemon, Venomoth, also from the jungle. I love Venomoth. When I play the Pokemon video games, it's kind of my Butterfree. I like to nickname my Venomoth Yorucho, which is a combination of the Japanese words yoru, which means night, and cho, which means butterfly, the night butterfly, as moths are more active at night than butterflies. And if I'm going to add in Venomoth, I need Venonat. Venonat is pretty cute. So if I'm going to do that, let's see. Caterpie, Metapod, Butterfree will replace 3 of the Weedles, the Kakuna, and Beedrill. So now we're 2 Pokemon over. I'm going to take out 1 Staryu and 1 Starmie. So now we're going to have 3 Staryu and 2 Starmie. Just as good. If you want to, you could also replace, to kind of add the grass and flowers theme to kind of an underwater grass and flowers coral reef theme. Could swap the Staryu and Starmie for Goldeen from the jungle and Seekeen from the jungle. Whether you want to or not, I sometimes switch between the two. And now, let's see, we have 4 Bulbasaur, 2 Ivysaur. But we don't have Bulbasaur's final evolution in this deck. I'm going to take out 1 Bulbasaur, since we don't need the 4th one, really, and add in the king of this deck, alongside Gyarados, Venusaur, from the base set, the Holo Rare Venusaur. And that would complete my customization of the Pokemon Overgrowth theme deck. Gyarados and Venusaur strong, along with quite a few other really cool Pokemon. That's my first ever released Water and Grass deck. Next time, I'm going to be looking at the Pokemon Brushfire deck, which focuses on the second of the starter Pokemon, Charmander, and its evolutions. And the Brushfire theme deck is actually the one that I started out with. So that one's going to be quite interesting. I'll see you when I look at Charmander.